Hello there, thanks for making it your Jamaica magazine. Coming up in today's program, we'll look at how the Economic Partnership Agreement is increasing export competitiveness for Jamaican products. And later, tips on how you can be your child's best parent for the upcoming school year. Stay right there, an interesting program unfolds right after the break.
PBCJ Symposium 2016. Public Broadcasting, Agenda for the Future.
Come and join PBC Jamaica as it hosts its first symposium at the Jamaica Conference Center, October 18 to 20, 2016.
Grab your chance to interact with internationally acclaimed and local media practitioners, students, communication consultants, policymakers, and regulators.
Let your voice be heard in discussions about the role of public broadcasting in education and social issues.
Learn about innovative digital technology and public broadcasting systems from the major players in the field, based locally and abroad.
It's PBCJ Symposium 2016. Public Broadcasting, Agenda for the Future.
For registration and additional information, go to symposium.pbcjamaica.org.
Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith and this is your GIS News for Wednesday, August 24. 1,200 land titles will be distributed within the next 7 months under a Memorandum of Understanding between the Land Administration and Management Program LAMP and the Development Bank of Jamaica DBJ. As part of that process, over 220 persons from across the country became new land owners in a titling ceremony at Jamaica House yesterday.
We are seeking to empower all Jamaicans with a renewed sense of ownership and pride in Jamaica by ensuring that each person has a title for their land. We want every Jamaica to have a vested interest in building Jamaica, land we love.
With $90 million in funding support from the DBJ, LAMP assists beneficiaries acquire land titles, which includes covering incidental costs such as surveying. The Prime Minister says a draft bill amending the Registration of Titles Cadastral Mapping and Tenure Clarification Special Provisions Act is being finalized to strengthen the work of LAMP's adjudication committees. It should make the law more culturally relevant so that recognition is given to the manner in which many landowners give, buy and sell land.
LAMP will continue its mandate to conduct cadastral mapping, tenure clarification and regularization in project areas, and subsequently reduce the number of unregistered parcels of land, thereby bringing them into the formal sector.
Government is advancing work to develop the port of Montego Bay into a regional multipurpose port. Minister with responsibility for economic growth and job creation, Dr. Horace Chang, says it is symbolic of the move towards development with a berth dedicated to cargo and additional berths for cruise shipping.
Cargo will of course be largely domestic cargo. We are not seeking to convert Montego Bay to a container terminal in any way. We'll be able to unload containers as we improve and expand the port and make it into a modern national facility to be largely dedicated to domestic. But there'll be direct shipping here, and of course the opportunity by our business personnel to not only import but export to other Caribbean islands and in the Central America region.
Dr. Chan was addressing the media during a recent tour of the liquefied natural gas LNG facility at the Montego Bay port. The LNG fuel terminal is the first of its kind in the Caribbean and is being implemented at a cost of about $170 million. Much of the natural gas to be received there from the United States will supply the JPS Bogue plant. Meanwhile, work is proceeding as planned for the creation of a perimeter road to address current and anticipated traffic from increased economic activities in the Montego Bay area.
Major effort is being made. We expect to complete the feasibility during the course of this financial year so we can look at construction early.
Minister Chang says government will ensure that necessary funding is in place, not just for the perimeter road, but also to improve arterial roads linking various communities in Montego Bay. Several learning institutions will start the academic year with new school furniture, courtesy of a donation from a US-based non-profit organization. The Joseph Assignment Global Initiative made the donation to the Ministry of Education on Tuesday. It comprised approximately 1,000 pieces of student desks and chairs, which will be distributed to schools island-wide.
Jamaica is such a wonderful nation with great people, and the Joseph Assignment is committed to the transformation of lives throughout the world. We are excited to be here to partner with you for the betterment of your youth.
The Joseph Assignment Global Initiative helps to address global issues by providing medical assistance, housing, schools, water, and other basic amenities to the less fortunate in several countries. As part of its humanitarian efforts, the local chapter will also host its second annual Health and Back to School Fair in Riverton and Hannahtown later this week. And finally, 160 children in state care who were successful in this year's Grade 6 Achievement and Grade 9 Achievement tests have been recognized for their effort by the Child Development Agency, CDA. The honorees were all presented with certificates of achievement, while the top GSAT girl and boy across the CDA's 4 regions were awarded trophies for their academic achievement. During the ceremony, which included motivational talks for the children and parents, the students also received back-to-school packages consisting of books and other supplies. The ceremony was held at the Jamaica Conference Center last Thursday.
We believe that each of you in this room represents the future of Jamaica. We are here to support and encourage you. You have demonstrated academic excellence, and we expect that you will continue on this path.
And that's it for GIS News Today. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Finger-licking jerk chicken, Helsha fish and bami, will run down yam and banana, roast breadfruit, sweet potato pudding. Jamaica food sweet. So let's make a pledge to use more local produce and less foreign goods. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Our government, in partnership with the European Union, has been working hard over the past few years to transform our export market. Through the Economic Partnership Agreement, Jamaica has achieved greater food safety and security for numerous Jamaican produce. Have a look now at how this is done.
Over the past few years, the European Union, the EU, has been a key partner in promoting Jamaica's development agenda by facilitating increased export competitiveness and food safety and security. The Economic Partnership Agreement (EPA) capacity building project is one of the tools being used by the European Union, EU, and Government of Jamaica to improve and build infrastructure that supports our export industry. The EU-funded project, which is being implemented by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, seeks to improve our nation's productivity and output in agriculture, resulting in economic growth.
The LEPA agreement, Economic Partnership Agreement, was signed in 2008. All the members of CARIFORUM and as well as the 28 member states of the European Union. It's a trade, but it's also a development agreement. It also foresaw the idea of getting support from the European Union to the different CARIFORUM countries to export and have access to the European market. The type of activities that we have been implementing here basically was to upgrade laboratories to be able to test the products to comply to European standards, so therefore raising the standard. That includes not only providing the equipment but also the training.
Result number 1 of the project: increased capacity for product testing and certification for compliance with international standards has been achieved. This means that a number of public sector food testing laboratories have undergone the accreditation process and are now ISO 17025 accredited.
To be ISO 17025 accredited means that tests of Jamaican foods being exported to other countries by ISO 17025 laboratories will be readily accepted at ports of entries worldwide and will not be subject to delays that can adversely affect the quality of the produce.
The laboratories that have benefited from the accreditation process include the Microbiology and Chemistry Laboratories at the Bureau of Standards Jamaica, the BSJ, Microbiology, Residue Testing and Parasitological Laboratories at the Veterinary Services Division of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, MICAF, Pesticide Research Laboratory of the Chemistry Department at the University of the West Indies, MONA, Plant Pathology Laboratory of the Plant Protection Unit, MICAF, and the Plant Virology Laboratory at the Plant Protection Unit at the Ministry.
We received a lot of renovations. So our lab was actually split, walls done, cupboards, tiles, everything was done to meet more international standards. Then at the front of our building, we had 2 new rooms being made. One for a submission room where we'd meet our clients before they'd come straight into the building. And as a quarantine building, that was actually a big no-no.
During 2014, we received 7 pieces of equipment valued at over 30 million Jamaican dollars. These were used to strengthen our quality system and help assist us towards having the labs accredited.
The Pesticide Research Laboratory has received assistance in the form of refurbishment of the laboratory, training of the laboratory staff, as well as analytical equipment and related supplies.
One of the basic piece of equipment we got was a LCMS, valued at about 350,000 euros. We have also had an incinerator, we've had water softener, we've had an oven dryer, and we also had several training opportunities for staff abroad.
The Plant Quarantine Plant Produce Inspection Branch at MICAF has also benefited from the EPA project.
EPA is pivotal in our safeguarding effort because there are times when we intercept things that are imported that have pests on them. These must be destroyed. And so the incinerator that we are getting through the EPA is going to play that very special role.
The long-term impact is pretty much one that will now allow us to conduct the relevant tests in compliance with the markets that we're trying to access so that our farmers, our processors, our producers can export their products and have them tested at the level where we are satisfied that we can compete with any developed country in the world.
They have allowed us to make the test methods complete in a shorter time. They have allowed us to automate test methods, and they have allowed us to meet turnaround times in a more satisfactory manner for our clients.
But that's not all. Another important result of the project is increased awareness of international standards and technical requirements in the public sector.
Exposure of public officers to advanced training in food safety and other related standards, training for specific assessments on animal and plant health issues can only strengthen Jamaica's institutional framework and facilitate increased exports by private sector stakeholders.
And the EPA team continues to work on the sensitization of and dialogue with the private sector on technical barriers to trade, TBT, and sanitary and phytosanitary issues, SPS.
The private sector is directly involved in the production and export of food and agro-processed products and deals directly with the different trade issues. Food exporters must meet the TBS and SPS requirements of the countries importing their goods.
So it's clear that the EPA capacity building project has already started to significantly transform the Jamaican business sector, resulting in sustainable and economic development. And the EPA2 project further enhances this transformation. The EPA2 financing agreement was signed in November 2014 and is being implemented on a phased basis. A part of this agreement focuses on providing assistance to coffee and spices industries, 2 sectors with the potential for increasing exports from Jamaica to the European Union.
EPA 1 project focused only on institutional aspects and trying to bring the laboratories to ISO standards. And the second one built on this and then is when we have introduced the specific support to the two industries. The particularity, in order to do that, we have got an agreement with the International Financial Corporation, which is part of the World Bank Group, which specializes in support to the private sector, and they are responsible for the implementation of this component of the program.
The Economic Partnership Agreement Capacity Building Project will continue to contribute to Jamaica's national export strategy, supporting Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
The new academic year is fast approaching, and before you know it, school will be back in session. I'm sure you've been busy making all your final back-to-school preparations, whether it is getting those textbooks on a bargain or finding that durable backpack or school shoes. But there are some much needed back-to-school preparations that cannot be purchased. It's more of a mental, disciplinary process. Here's what I'm talking about.
Parents, be honest. We often slacken up on our commitments to our children, right? Yes. So today we have prepared a formula for you to change that. Joining me is Interim CEO of the National Parenting Support Commission, Mr. Andre Miller. Thanks for coming, Andre.
Thanks for having me.
One of the first things that I want to talk to you about is having your children read books from the book list before school begins.
Well, that's a good point. One of the things that we recognize is a widely held notion that children are not reading. That's not so. They are reading. What we note is that children are passive readers, especially during the summer period. So we must differentiate between information and education. So children will engage with reading via the WhatsApp and Twitter and Facebook. They are reading. But what you find is that that's passive reading. And passive reading does not necessarily all go well for their cognitive development, whilst active reading suggests that your child is embracing their intellectual rigor and their cognitive skills, and they're now engaging with the learning process. Maybe your child loves technology, and so maybe you can engage them by sending articles via WhatsApp to their phones that they can read, and you can question them about what they have read, and that is preparing your child to actually ready themselves for the new school year.
That's very good. And another problem that we have with our children in the school system is that some of these children are constantly late. So what do you have to say about, setting a bedtime and sticking to it and a wake-up time?
As you rightfully said, there should be a set time for your children to go to bed. But we go further to suggest that there are benefits for your children to take on these behaviors. In facilitating structure in the child's life, what you're doing is preparing the child for their adult years. You're teaching your child responsibility. So they're learning that there are consequences for staying up late.
A lot of parents are falling prey to feeding their children snacks that they know their children like, but are not necessarily nutritious or good for them. What do you have to say to parents about that?
Well, let's be frank. Children will always love cheese tricks and bag juice. When I was a boy, I loved cheese tricks and bag juice, and they're nice. But children will only engage in things that they want and not necessarily things that they need. And so parents have a role to play in the process. So help them to balance. So some cheese tricks today but ensure that you have a lot of pineapple and a lot of melon tomorrow.
And another thing that a lot of parents are guilty about is, waiting until last minute to iron their clothes, the uniforms, every night they're ironing. We both know that that's not a very smart thing to do.
Well, in the first place, we know that parents are having an issue in terms of the economy. They would want to do more for their children, but they don't have the resources. And as such, we again promote the principle of structure in the life of the child. So we believe that parents should empower their children to be more responsible. So if it is at all possible, if your child can iron their uniforms as early as Sunday or Saturday for the week to come, that will help them. That will allow them to dedicate more time to the things that they need to, whether it be homework or maybe they want to play some more sports or some more video games. But it must be a trade-off.
Okay, a lot of these parents have forgotten to mention to their children that, you might be bullied, there's going to be peer pressure, how do you handle this, what's the best thing to do in scenarios?
The truth is, children who are bullied oftentimes don't speak out for fear of being ridiculed and for fear of not being believed. And as such, we want parents to realize that pick up some of the cues that your children will pass on to you when they're being bullied. If they're not giving in their homework on time, if they don't want to go to school regularly, if they don't want to go to school, a particular class, pick up some of these hints from your children and be able to have the conversation as to how they can deal with the matter.
We see where children are able to do well in academics, well in sports and other clubs, if they have the proper time management skills, the support, the encouragement. What's the importance of being an all-rounded child, doing well at everything that they set out to do?
The truth is, children have to be balanced. So whilst they're engaging in academics, we want them to also engage in extracurricular activities. But parents must provide an organized platform within which children are able to exercise all of these things in a responsible framework. They will not be able to do all the activities that they want to do and to give equal attention to each. And so in prioritizing some of these activities, you'll be able to contribute your time and to weigh your time against each of them, therefore being able to do a plethora of things.
A lot of parents are afraid of being a friend of their child, but there are benefits of that as well.
We say to parents, hold them before you can control them. And holding your children suggests that you know exactly what's happening with them. Parents have a busy schedule. We recognize that some of them go 9 to 5 and 5 to 9. But it's important for you to utilize technology to your advantage. Be smart as a parent. Set specific goals to develop your child, in the development of your children. Measure those goals. Be able to monitor some of what you have established for your children. But the critical thing we want parents to do is to communicate with your children at all times. Sometimes you're unable to dedicate the full time to go into the room and talk with them, or maybe you can talk to them via WhatsApp. Maybe you can talk to them via Facebook. Know what is happening in the life of your child at all times. Again, hold them before you can't control them.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, for those useful ideas.
You're welcome.
Okay, so there you have it. Useful tips on how you can be your child's best parent this school year. For more information on the National Parenting Support Commission, call 967-7977. You may also follow them on Facebook, National Parenting Support Commission, or tweet at MPSC Jamaica.
We have championed e-learning in Jamaica, provided state-of-the-art technology in over 200 educational institutions, developed materials for CSEC, piloted the Tablets in Schools project in 38 schools, including infant and primary, and trained thousands of teachers in technology integration. We are e-Learning Jamaica Company Limited, ELJAM, an agency of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology. Visit our website, www.elearnja.org.
Taking care of all your back-to-school preparations can be very stressful, especially if you wait until the very last minute to get the things your child needs. It is even more stressful when you are a single parent with more than one child to shop for. And that is why we have prepared some tips on how you can manage your back-to-school stress even as the new school year draws near. First, create a budget and try as best as possible to stick to it. It may be difficult, but if you do this, you will ensure you have all your child's needs for September morning. Second, always try to get the best bargains. This means you should always be on the lookout for special discounts or sales. And don't be too lazy to shop around and compare prices. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Third, don't forget that sometimes second-hand items are just as good as new. So don't be tempted to purchase new items you don't need. And finally, ensure that you plan ahead for the week. This means scheduling activities as best as possible, such as having an idea of what the breakfast for each morning will be. This way, no time will be wasted in the mornings deciding on what to prepare. Let's be wise and proactive as we seek to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information is committed to ensuring that every Jamaican child has the best learning environment to thrive and needs your cooperation to make the education system work successfully.
What are the school's voluntary contributions for?
Co-curricular and sports activities and school development.
What amount are parents to contribute?
Your contributions are voluntary and the amount depends on the type of programs being offered by the school.
If my child is being denied access to school, can I complain to the ministry?
Yes. You can call or visit any of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information's 6 regional offices or send an email to complaints@moey.gov.jm.
What support is there for PATH students?
PATH students are not expected to make contributions and are to be provided with 5 days free lunch as of this year.
Parents and guardians, do continue to make your voluntary financial contributions to your children's school. The institutions need your assistance for their school development and sporting activities. Remember, every child can learn. Every child must learn.
If you still haven't gotten all your child's textbooks or want to help others with theirs, the JIS Book Exchange program remains open. Donate, exchange, or share textbooks that you no longer need, whether they are new or used. For infant, primary, high, or even university students, exchange or share your books. Pass them on to those that need them. Drop them off at JIS's head office on 58A Halfway Tree Road or email pr@gis.gov.jm to make arrangements for drop-off. For further information, contact the Public Relations and Marketing Department at 9291919 or 926359024. Join the mission and be a part of the JIS Book Exchange Initiative. You've got to start at ABC.
This is where we close the pages of Jamaica Magazine for today. But don't worry, another informative magazine awaits you tomorrow. In the meantime, why not share your feedback on today's show to jamaicamagazine@gis.gov.jm or send us a tweet at JIS News. If you enjoyed today's show and you want to watch it again, all you have to do is visit our website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of all of us here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.